Hey, what's up guys, Auto Fanatics. So today's video, we have a very, very special car right here. Is a 992 911 GT3 Touring. So you can see it here, it's one of my favorite specs. Metallic black, we have a full leather interior with the comfort seats. We got the center lock wheels, of course. This thing is absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. But wait till I take you guys for a POV drive. So we're not gonna talk much about the features. We all know about these cars and what they're all about. This one doesn't have carbon ceramic brakes because the very first one that this client ordered sank on that boat that was coming across from Germany. So they had to build him another car, and this is the quickest way he could get his hands on one. So you can just look at this thing. This thing is absolutely incredible. Motorsports derived 4-liter, over 500 horsepower. It is just unbelievable. 6-speed manual. You got the new front end, the snorkels. We got a carbon fiber front hood. We got the carbon fiber mirrors. We got the carbon fiber exposed roof. We'll open up the interior. You see the beautiful red leather. We got carbon fiber here. We got the perforated leather all the way across. And you can just see it. It is absolutely incredible. No back seats. We got the multi-way comfort seats, which are awesome. And we got one of the best, probably the best 6-speed manual out of any manufacturer today in the world. And we're gonna strap the camera in. We're gonna go for a POV and we're gonna talk more about the GT3 Touring. And the biggest question is it worth the money? These cars are not cheap. These cars are anywhere between $250 to over $300, depending on options. And the one thing about these cars regarding, automotive specialty cars as investments is that you're never gonna lose your money buying a GT3 Porsche, okay? So that's just something to justify. Is it worth $300,000? Well, considering this is the only car in the world that's got over 500 horsepower and a rear engine, manual transmission, rear wheel drive, yeah, I think so. So let's go for a drive. We'll strap the camera in. We'll talk some more about it. Hopefully you guys can get some visuals and sounds, and maybe this will aspire you to put one of these cars in your stable soon. But I'll tell you right now, this car is absolutely incredible, and I'm so fortunate I have the opportunity to work on these cars, drive them, detail them, modify them, restore them. And we're gonna strap the camera in. We're gonna go for a POV drive, and we'll talk more about the GT3 Touring right now. All right, guys, we are in the 992 GT3 Touring. We're in normal mode. It's not sport mode or track mode. The car's warmed up. I've been driving around for like 15 minutes. Rechecked the tires because I got a tire fault saying that they were low and only one of them was low. So I redid all the tires, made sure PSI was good. And something that I want to comment on, I think other people reviewed these cars. Oh, this car is so goddamn good. When you're in the driver's seat, you really could only see the tach. The gauges on the left and right are a little bit hard to see when your hands are on the wheel. But who cares, because we are in a GT3 Touring with the Motorsports derived 4-liter flat 6. The same suspension as the standard GT3. And it is incredible. And one of the best, probably the best manual gearbox that you could get today on any new modern car. It's a real toss-up between my favorites, between a Tremec that you would get in a Camaro ZL1 1LE or a Shelby GT350R and this. I think those are some of the best feeling 6-speeds on the market. Then we could go back to, older Ferraris with the gated manuals from the 90s and stuff like that. But as far as newer cars, I would say those are the best in terms of the feel. So we're just gonna loop it on some back roads. Now this car revs out to like 9 grand. We're not gonna be able to do that today because there's just no room to safely do that. All right, good. The tire fault came off. Now we're gonna switch it into, so you got your drive mode selects. down here, which is great. Oh, this thing is so good. So good. Now, in terms of ride quality on the New York roads, it's stiff, but it's not stiff like my AMG GTR or the ZL11LE. The only thing that I'll say was when you're at low speeds, the left and right suspension movement throws and snaps your neck back and forth pretty aggressively. It's like weird. It's like the way the suspension is tuned to where you're sitting in the car, your neck goes bing, bing, bing really bad, like a pendulum. It's pretty crazy stuff. But all right, let's... Oh my God. This is what Ferrari, Lamborghini, McLaren are not giving you, is this manual transmission. I mean, you can get these cars with a PDK. I just would never waste my time doing it. The whole reason, the whole selling point to this car, especially with the comfort seats, is that this is a car you want to get in and drive often and get maximum engagement. Now with the double wishbone front suspension and a different front end geometry compared to a 991, it does feel quite different. It feels a little bit sharper going into the corner, and it has a little bit of a different feedback in the steering wheel than the 991s. Now, one of the 991s that I've driven quite often was a good client of mine had a 911R. I believe that car came out in 2016. And that's a very, very highly collectible, high dollar car today. But, so Porsche went back. This car has a rear steer effect similar to my AMG. Now, when you buy the 911 ST, they did away with the rear steer effect. They wanted to kind of keep the car a little bit more analog. And when you're on these back roads, you could feel those 21-inch Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2s digging into the tarmac. I mean, this car is it's sensational. There's no complaints about this car. If you're going to complain about tech or where the cup holders are, you shouldn't be buying this car. This car is just incredible. It really is. In terms of the brake feel, it has a very, very similar pedal feel to all of the newer McLarens, the Maserati MC20. You have to put a lot of leg pressure into the pedal. So I think the way they did that on purpose on a lot of these higher performance top tier cars, they don't want you to have a twitchy, overly sensitive brake where you can kind of over brake the car and cause it to crash, especially when you're on the track. So I kind of feel that that's done by design. Oh, this thing is so good, man. Woo! We're in sport mode. We're not putting in the track mode. I don't want to turn all the traction control off. It's not my car. This car's got a lot of power, not a lot of torque, but just enough. I mean, the car's curb weight, you know, dry and wet, between 31.5 to 33.5. You know, so it's a pretty decent weight car, considering all the technology and safety pulled into this thing. Oh my God. This car checks off every goddamn box. The looks, the interior, the sound, the gearbox, the brakes, the steering. That's why, now I know, that's why this car is 300 grand. Oh my God. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. God. You can feel those rear tires biting. I'm going uphill at a high rate of speed. Oh my God, the balance. My God, this car. You know, the GT4s are some of my favorite cars, you know, smaller mid-engine car. But I always felt that they didn't have enough power. Man, this thing gets your heart pumping. This is where you get into this GT3 Touring, go to your Cars and Coffee, leave your buddies, go onto the back roads up north, and just have some fun. Just have some fun. You don't have to drive this car 10/10ths to really get maximum pleasure out of it. That's why I love about it. Also, the shifter, the feel of this in your hand reminds me of the same diameter of like the older gated Ferraris, 355, 575 Maranello. We have one in the shop with a gated, and it just has the right feel to the palm of your hand, where you know that Porsche, when they engineer the ergonomics, they just get everything right. Even the aroma of the leather, that's something that I've admired working on Porsches for 30 years. Especially in the 996s. When the 996s came out, a lot of customers were opting for the full leather interior, which a lot of people didn't really do that in the 993s and the earlier cars. And when you get into a Porsche with full leather like this, it has a certain aroma, and they still have the same aroma for now 25 years. These cars are just incredible. And we're hitting some bumps, and you know, we got 21s in the back, 20s in the front, and it's not harsh at all. That's what I love about this car. Oh my God. The power on this car, if I could compare it to anything Porsche related, it reminds me of like a 997 turbo, you know, bone stock. We're not talking about like anything modified, but the way it pulls for an NA car, it does feel like an older generation 911 turbo. But my God, this car is unbelievable. I really hope that the video, because I'm doing a POV on this one, so I want to kind of take you guys along on these drives and kind of give you the sensation of how this car is on New York roads. You know, this is real world driving. We're not on a track, and I don't want to take this to a track, and the owner of this car is not tracking it. But another thing too, this is the owner of the car. I haven't done a full video on the car yet, but the 993 Carrera S, the 1998, we did a full restoration and customization build. We're going to do a full feature video on the channel very soon, a professional video that I'm not going to be shooting. We're going to hire a team to come out and do it. And that car is heavily modified. We did a lot of club sport suspension parts and, you know, Bilstein triple adjustable coilovers. And the chassis behavior of that car is very similar to what's going on in this car, except this car is probably a little bit more telepathic, and you know, we have a little bit lighter power steering and, you know, more grip and all of that. But I just think it's the 911 platform, you know, the engineering of having that engine out back and having a very, very stiff monocoque. It just gives these cars a certain type of feel, unlike the McLarens, unlike the Ferraris, unlike the Aston Martins, unlike the Lamborghini. My God. The turn-in is incredible. Absolutely incredible. So, even the steering wheel, it's got a thicker thumb grip here. Even the steering wheel feels perfect. The right diameter. It's not over exaggerated like a BMW M car. Oh man, this thing is absolutely bonkers. Oh my God, this thing is awesome. So we're going to loop it back. We'll talk some more about the GT3 Touring, and I'm going to be honest with you, having this car for a few days in the shop and playing around with it on these roads is seriously making me want to reconsider my stable. Let me tell you. I mean, this car, to me, it doesn't compare to anything else that I own. I think the AMG GTR is a little more of a sledgehammer, a little bit more of an animal. Suspension is much firmer, beats you up a lot more. Totally different car. But this thing is so good that I don't know, I may consider trading the Alpha. I would get rid of the Alpha and the GTR, the AMG GTR, for one of these, if I found the right spec. The only thing I would change, I would do carbon ceramic brakes, but I would definitely do the multi-way power seats, just because it's more comfortable. I want to enjoy the car. I don't want to be in those fixed buckets where they're tilting you forward. I know it's big with resale value and collectors, and people say, oh, you got to have the buckets, but I want to buy the car for me. You know, I want to enjoy it while I own it. I don't want to have it in the garage where I cringe every time I get in it. And that's how it was when I had the G80 M3 with those fixed buckets. They were power, but they were fixed on the bottom. They were terrible. Those are some of the worst seats I've ever owned in my life. But yeah, so this is the magic sauce right here, guys. There's a reason these cars are 250 to over 300 grand, depending on spec. It's because it does everything to the highest level. The fit, the finish, the quality, the engineering, best gearbox, incredible front end, everything about this car. The motorsports derived engine, being the fact that you can rev it out to 9 grand. I mean, there's no other car. Really, the GT3 50R, you know, that revved close to 9 grand. You know, we get some Ferraris, you know, older Ferraris that can rev out to 9 grand, like a Ferrari 360 Challenge Stradale, or, you know, some of those older cars. You could tweak the ECU and get them up to 9 grand. But just to think about that this car could rev out that high and still have a linear power band. The power band on this engine, where I feel the strongest pull, is between 4,500 up to about 8. I think anything after 8, I think you're just revving it out just to, you know, maximize the gear ratios and all that. I don't think you're building much power, you know, after 7,500, 8 grand on this car. But I'm going to pull over. We'll talk more about the conclusion of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the POV drive along in the GT3 Touring. And let me tell you something. If you guys are on the fence, if you've never driven one, if you aspire to own one, and you really want an analog experience, you want the manual shifter, you want the engine out back, you want that NA power, there's really no other car you can buy in this category from any manufacturer. Now, if you're on a budget and you want to get the same analog, visceral, high revving NA feel from any car, you're going to have to go buy yourself a used Shelby GT3 50R, and, you know, for under 100 grand, because, and you're going to have to live with the build quality and the fit and finish and all of that. But there's really no other car on the market that is going to give you what these cars are going to give you. So stay tuned. Let's pull over. We'll talk some more about it. My heart is pumping. I absolutely love this car. I just don't want to stop driving it. And we'll conclude the rest of this video. All right, guys, we're back. So just had to force myself to bring the car back, because this thing is simply incredible. I can't praise this car enough in terms of everything that this car does, and it does so exceptionally well. The brakes, the steering, the handling, the looks, the power, the sound, and also the value. You could buy these cars now, and they're only going to go up in value. They're not going to go down in value at all, because they're limited. They're highly desirable, and eventually Porsche is no longer going to ever make these. So this is probably one of my favorite specs. Metallic black wheels. You got the full red leather interior with the comfort seats. It's just absolutely incredible. So I'm going to leave this video like this. You know, you don't usually need a car like this, but, you know, as car enthusiasts, you want a car like this. Why? Because it just gives you so much satisfaction to get in, de-stress from your, you know, rough day at work or whatever's going on in your life. And that's what car enthusiasm, you know, for me is all about. You know, I use this as a de-stressor. That's why I love cars. I love driving. I love driving on the back roads and all of that. That's why I love these cars. But to be honest with you, not a lot of people have 300 grand to buy one of these. But I will tell you now, if you have the aspirational goals in life to get the ultimate, one of the ultimate and best analog driving experiences, I highly suggest looking into a GT3 Touring, GT3 RS, whatever you could afford or whatever you could get. I don't think you're going to be disappointed in the performance, in everything else that these cars deliver. Yeah, they may be faster cars like the Turbo S with mods. You can blow this thing out of the water in a straight line. But there's something about the tactile feel, the sound, the shifting, the noise. Everything that this car does is simply irresistible. I think I would love to add it to my stable. So stay tuned for the next video. I'll see you guys soon.
Everybody's so fake, everybody act like they care.